Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. We've gone through lows. We've gone through more lows. We've crossed the fiery gates of hell. We've seen the absolute worst that mankind could produce. And we finally made it to the last chapter of Metroid High School. So let's get going! Hello, everyone! Wow, it's been a while. It's, been a little more than 3 whole years since, I started writing Metroid High School, and, I, can't believe how many people have loved it. Yeah, I can't believe that 3 people loved it. Wow, that's just sad. 63 reviews, almost 10,000 hits, and no comma here, go figure. I wouldn't have been able to do it without who? Whatever. You guys are the best, thank you. I was, only 11, when I wrote Chapter 1 of Metroid High School. Oh! That explains so goddamn much. I did not remember this detail at all when I was reading the other chapters. So, it explains so much. And at that point in time, it had been 3 years since she started writing it, and she's still only 14. So, she was pretty much in the age bracket that everyone expected her to be all along. So, trollfic? Maybe not, especially not when you write the worst of it when you're 11. But anyway, and lots of things have happened since, I started writing. If you're ever looking for some commas because you ran out, they're all here, by the way. But now I'm in high school and I barely have more time anymore. Well, this is horrible grammatically speaking, but this is pretty good news because this means that she won't be writing much anymore. Because of school tests and my new boyfriend, he's real, not internet this time. Poor guy. I don't know whoever it is, but poor guy. So I don't exactly have time to write fanfic anymore. And the whole world rejoiced! I have had chappies written for months on my hard drive, but I really just want to get the story finished on with life, so, I've decided to unload and take elements, from each chapter, for one big finale. It doesn't always exactly make sense all the time. Isn't that the first thing you should look for when writing fiction? That it makes sense! But, hey, it's epic. I know the word epic is overused, but I never expected it to be that overused that stuff like this would be considered epic. Hopefully unties all the loose and it's a fitful conclusion. Let's just say that as far as loose ends go, there's still a lot of things that go unexplained, such as how the fuck Samus and Ridley are together to begin with, as well as all the crap that I've pointed out in the first 7 chapters, and basically this means that none of the loose ends get tied up. And, it's a fitful conclusion. Well, I'd be throwing a fit, too, if I had to read that conclusion. Oh, wait, I'm about to. Great. I think that I've had enough, for the talk. It's time for Chapter 8, Endgame Finale. The Halls of High School. Metroid High School. Dances, gossip, girls, students, learning. Everything that had happened. Samus and Ridley's ask out, the football, the cholera, and even the election. But now war stains. So this is what I was talking about earlier, about this The fact that this chapter should take place immediately after 7, but instead 6 and 7 are a prequel to the whole thing, and they don't build up to anything in the first 5 chapters, and the first 5 chapters don't really refer to anything major that happened in 6 and 7. So as someone pointed out in the comments for Chapter 7, this is basically 2 different fan fictions that are just about to get mashed together. And yeah, this is exactly what I was referring to, so now you have an idea of what I'm talking about. In the hall, civil war was raging before it had even started. So, it started before it started? Oh, God! Thank God this is the last chapter. Falcon's kitchen cabinet. Author's note, I learned about this in U.S. history. Andrew Jackson liked his buddies, so he gave them jobs eating food and partying in the White House? Come on! That's not what the kitchen cabinet is! Wasn't... I think Wikipedia was a thing back in 2009? This is so horrible. And we're continuing with the historical inaccuracy, by the way. This is just really bad. Anyway, Falcon's kitchen cabinet was in control of the school. Luckily, Samus and friends were not pushovers, so it was a bloody situation. Mandy and Tio Juan were 2 of the people who were fighting in the onslaught. You know, in high school! It happens all the time in high school! Tio, catch! Helen, addicted as her Mexican, caught the grenade she tossed at him. With teeth, he pulled out the tad and threw, killing 7 or more Republicans. So, you're the one writing this shit and you can't even tell how many were killed, 7 or more, or you could just say, killed many Republicans, whatever. Too bad one of the key hunters, it's key hunters, by the way, still had a trick up his sleeve, and it was a pistol. It fired at Helen, mortally wounding his soulmate. You know, in high school. Tio Juan, Helen coughed, but was cut off by the river of death. Ah, Helen! Tio Juan was insoluble. This turned him into a killing machine. He had lost his favorite girlfriend, his friend, for war. His favorite girlfriend, does this mean that he had more than one? I don't think polygamy is a thing in Mexico, really. So, yeah, that's that. I would say that's just her being racist, but I don't think she's intelligent enough to be racist to begin with. For what? The underground arch room was where Samus, Amy, Adam, and Principal Yokoi were discussing war games. Here's a memo, Gunpei. You're the principal! You can stop this! Just expel these a-holes! And, well, of course they're heavily armed, but still, after that they're gonna keep coming into Metroid High School like nothing ever happened? They killed people! Do something, you bumbling fool! You know, just the fact that when they first introduced the principal as being Gunpei Yokoi, I was already flipping out, but then it turns out that he's a bumbling moron who has no idea what he's doing! Let's continue. Except not Warhammer or Battlefront, but the kind that countries do before a war. Except this one was already happening. What? Are we screwed? Principal Gunpei Yokoi extruded in the room. Once again, you're the principal. Then again, I guess I could consider the fact that none of these things happen in your typical high school, so it wouldn't be as though he would be expecting it, but still, the fact that, you know, the principal is depicted as a powerless wimp, sorry, it's just too much for me. Luckily, no one noticed his bozo fits and carried on with the meeting. President Aaron, here's the ordeal. Not ordeal, deal, you spawn of Stephanie Meyer! Learn to write! Amy, her friend and advisor, protrude. Falcon and the Republican Army have learned how to clone key hunters. That's why there's so many bodies everywhere. So yeah, cloning armies of key hunters. You know, in high school. Things like this always happen in high school, right? And I think the funniest part is that this whole plot line started because 111 Samus Ridley Forever 2006 wanted to make the fanfiction sound more like things that would happen in a high school. Of course, this is failing terribly. This did not look like it was going to be a happy ending, but a shadow appeared in the corner, and it was a good thing they didn't shoot it because it was only Trace. If you can give me and the game dude time, I believe that we can call in reinforcements. Trace coveted. No one liked industrial espionage, but they agreed that just like Samus said in speech, that things must be different when there's a war. Okay, I see the ideas, but what are we going to do in the meantime? Adam noted that there might not be enough time for Game Dude's scheme, and there were way too many enemies to take down with just posses and political allies. That's when a voice was heard at the door, and it was someone that Samus did not exactly expect. "You have my body!" Ridley Legolasted. And when everyone turned around, they saw he was Mecha Ridley and was in a robotic combat suit like Metroid Fusion. First, let's start by completely destroying her perception of Metroid canon. This was not in Metroid Fusion. In Metroid Fusion, you were fighting Ridley X, which is an X-parasite that just possessed the frozen body of Ridley aboard the space station. So, yeah, that's not Metroid Fusion, and that would also explain a few chapters back when she was talking about doing stealthy stuff like in Metroid Fusion. That, she was probably referring to Zero Mission, you know, the stealth segment near the end in Chozodia. This makes sense because she's talking about Mecha Ridley, which was the final boss of Zero Mission. So basically, she has no idea what's Fusion and what's Zero Mission, which is sad considering that if you're going to write a fanfiction, at least you should be aware of the canon. And not only that, she's talking about a robotic combat suit. Mecha Ridley is, as far as I know, 100% mechanical. Her description would be more like Meta Ridley, which was featured in Prime 1 and 3, and Prime 3 also had Omega Ridley. But yeah, she says that it's Mecha Ridley, but it's being described as being Meta Ridley and from Metroid Fusion. Has this chick ever played a Metroid game to start with? Samus was happy to see him first, but quickly remembered everything. Sex, cholera, Cervantes. Was it too much? Samus, I know that things have happened and maybe I'm too manhandle. I'm too manhandle. Once again, this is one of those weird expressions like having a badass and cucumber cool and lack of legit that are just... What? But we must fight to save the school. Let's worry about things later because we have lots of ass to kick right now. Samus was speechless, but murmured okay because she knew that things were too important to bicker. Oh, and I just remembered something. Where the fuck did Ridley get that combat suit to begin with? The football president put on her power suit like when she played football. It's really wrong when you think about it that she uses that she uses the same suit to go to war and to play freaking football. I mean, you don't shoot people in football, but I already said that in Chapter 6, so let's continue. And together the two robotics join the battle. Except they're not robotics, they're two people, well, one person and one pterodactyl monster thing in suits.